Do you know what it feels like to hit rock bottom? To have nothing but the clothes on your back and a desperate hope that someone, anyone, will notice you. That's exactly where Marcus found himself one cold winter evening in Cincinnati. He was sitting by the side of the road with a cardboard sign that read, "Anything helps." His hands were trembling, not just from the chill, but from the weight of his situation. But little did Marcus know this night would change everything for him, and not in the way he expected. Because as fate would have it, a man named JD Vance walked past him that very moment. If you don't already know who JD Vance is, let me tell you, he's no ordinary guy. Once a Marine, then a lawyer, and now an author and senator, JD had seen his fair share of struggles before rising to success. But when Marcus called out to him, asking for something so simple, just $10, JD's response left everyone stunned. Marcus looked up at JD Vance with eyes filled with a mixture of hope and embarrassment. "Mister, can you give me $10? He asked softly, his voice barely audible over the hum of passing cars. JD stopped in his tracks, turned around, and crouched down to meet Marcus at eye level. The contrast between them was striking, one dressed in a tailored suit, the other in worn-out jeans and a tattered jacket. "Why do you need $10? JD asked, his tone calm but curious. Marcus hesitated for a moment, as if debating whether to share his truth with a stranger. Finally he spoke. "I just want to buy some food. Haven't eaten all day." His words hung heavy in the air, carrying the weight of countless nights spent hungry and alone. JD nodded slowly, absorbing Marcus's story, but instead of pulling out his wallet, he did something completely unexpected. He handed Marcus his business card. "Come with me," JD said firmly. And without another word, he stood up and started walking. Marcus stared at JD's back, confusion etched across his face. What was this guy playing at? He didn't have time for games. He needed cash, not riddles, but something about JD's demeanor made him follow. Maybe it was the sincerity in his voice, or the way he carried himself like a man who truly understood struggle. They walked a few blocks until they reached a small diner. JD held the door open and gestured for Marcus to enter. Inside, the smell of freshly brewed coffee and sizzling bacon filled the air. It was warm, inviting a world away from the cold streets outside. JD led Marcus to a booth by the window and sat down across from him. "Tell me more about yourself," JD said, leaning forward with genuine interest. At first, Marcus hesitated. Why should he bare his soul to a stranger? But there was something comforting about JD's presence, like talking wouldn't be judged. It would simply be heard. So Marcus began to speak. He told JD about losing his job, about how medical bills had piled up after his wife fell ill, and about the day she left him because she couldn't handle the stress anymore. By the end of his story, tears were streaming down Marcus's face. JD listened intently, nodding along as Marcus spoke. When Marcus finally finished, JD took a deep breath. "You've been through a lot, Marcus, more than most people could handle, but I believe in second chances, and I think you deserve one." JD reached into his pocket and pulled out a pen. He scribbled something on the back of his business card and slid it across the table. "This is the number of a friend of mine," he explained. "He owns a construction company. Tell him JD sent you, and he'll give you a job starting tomorrow morning." Marcus's eyes widened in disbelief. A job, just like that? It seemed too good to be true. "But I don't even have a place to stay," Marcus stammered. JD smiled warmly. "Don't worry about that either. There's a shelter nearby that offers temporary housing for people getting back on their feet. I'll call them right now and make sure they reserve a spot for you." As JD dialed the number, Marcus sat there in stunned silence. This wasn't just $10. It was a lifeline. For the first time in months, maybe years, Marcus felt a flicker of hope ignite inside him. The diner buzzed around them as they waited for JD's call to connect. Waiters bustled between tables, customers chatted animatedly, and somewhere in the background, a radio played soft music. But none of that mattered to Marcus anymore. All he could focus on was the possibility of a fresh start. JD finished his call and hung up with a satisfied nod. "They've got a room ready for you tonight," he announced. "It's not much, but it'll keep you safe and warm while you figure things out." Marcus blinked hard, trying to process everything that was happening. "Why are you doing this?" he asked finally, his voice thick with emotion. "Most people would have just given me $10 and walked away." JD leaned back in his seat, his expression thoughtful. "Because I know what it's like to feel forgotten," he replied quietly. "I grew up poor in Middletown, Ohio. My family struggled, and there were times when I didn't know where my next meal was coming from. But I had people who believed in me, teachers, mentors, friends, and they gave me opportunities I never thought possible. Now it's my turn to pay it forward." Marcus felt a lump rise in his throat. He wanted to say something profound, something that could express how grateful he was, but all that came out was a simple heartfelt, "Thank you." JD smiled again, this time with a hint of mischief. "Don't thank me yet. You've got work to do tomorrow, and trust me, it won't be easy. But if you put in the effort, I promise you'll see results." The two men sat there for a few more minutes, finishing their coffee and exchanging stories. By the time Marcus left the diner, the sun was beginning to rise, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. For the first time in what felt like forever, Marcus walked with his head held high, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Marcus showed up at the construction site bright and early the next morning, his nerves tingling with a mix of excitement and anxiety. The foreman greeted him warmly, already aware of JD's recommendation. "You're here because JD believes in you," the foreman said gruffly, handing Marcus a hard hat and a set of tools. "Now let's see if you've got what it takes." The work was tough, backbreaking, even, but Marcus didn't complain. Every swing of the hammer, every nail driven into wood, felt like a step toward reclaiming his life. By lunchtime, his muscles screamed in protest, but he powered through, fueled by determination. Word spread quickly among the crew about the homeless man who'd been given a chance. Some were skeptical, whispering doubts about how long Marcus would last. Others admired his grit, offering words of encouragement whenever they could. Over time, Marcus proved them all wrong. He learned quickly, worked tirelessly, and earned the respect of everyone on the team. After 2 weeks, the foreman pulled Marcus aside during a break. "You've got potential, kid," he said, wiping sweat from his brow. "If you keep this up, I'll make sure you get promoted to crew leader within the year." Marcus grinned, feeling a surge of pride. It wasn't just about the job anymore. It was about proving to himself that he could overcome anything. Months passed, and Marcus's life began to transform in ways he never imagined. He moved out of the shelter and into a modest apartment, paid for with his own hard-earned money. He started saving aggressively, determined never to return to the streets. And slowly but surely, he rebuilt relationships with family members who had drifted away, and friends who thought they'd lost him forever. But the real turning point came one evening, when Marcus spotted JD Vance walking down the street. Without hesitation, he approached him. "Mr. Vance," Marcus called out, his voice steady and confident. JD turned around, recognition lighting up his face. "Marcus, how are you doing?" "I'm doing great, thanks to you," Marcus replied, extending a firm handshake. "I wanted to personally thank you for giving me that chance. You didn't just give me a job, you gave me my life back." JD chuckled softly. "You earned it, Marcus. All I did was point you in the right direction." The two men stood there for a moment, sharing a quiet understanding that only those who faced adversity truly know. As they parted ways, Marcus felt a sense of gratitude so profound it brought tears to his eyes. Marcus's story didn't end there, it only began. Over the years, he became a symbol of resilience in his community. He started volunteering at shelters, helping others find jobs and rebuild their lives. "If I can do it," he often told newcomers, "so can you." His message resonated deeply with those who felt lost, reminding them that one act of kindness could spark a chain reaction of hope. As for JD Vance, his encounter with Marcus stayed with him long after that fateful night. It reinforced his belief in the power of second chances and inspired him to advocate for policies that uplifted struggling communities. In speeches and interviews, he frequently referenced Marcus as an example of what happens when people are given the tools to succeed. So what do you think? Do you believe in second chances? Would you have done the same as JD if you were in his shoes? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this story, be sure to like and subscribe for more inspiring tales from the world of true human connection. Because sometimes, all it takes is $10, or the courage to ask for something better to change someone's life forever. And that's where we'll wrap up this incredible story. Thanks for watching.